Yeah, can we dive into that, exploring the emotions that are coming up? Because I didn't, I had someone who had shared with me um, parts work, which I had
Yes.
never heard before, but I had already, not even knowing that that's what it was, I was already like looking through and feeling into myself, like what was coming up and sort of giving name to those things. But when it comes to exploring the sides or the aspects, right, that are coming up, and this fragmentation that happens inside of us or has happened inside of us over time, and how we can bring those parts of ourselves, together, consciousness around them, so we can come back together within ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And I know of parts work, but I haven't done a whole lot of work with it.
Yeah.
However, I'm familiar with voice dialogue, which I feel like
Right.
sounds like it's
Yep.
very similar.
Same lane. Yep. Same
Yeah,
lane. Yeah.
exactly. And so with voice dialogue and possibly with parts work, we have created these protectors within ourselves
Mm-hmm.
that their job is to protect, whether you want to say our inner children or different aspects of ourselves within. And they want to keep at bay anything that might come, might harm us. And so what we want to do is have conversations with these different parts of us to let them know that, well, for one, we want to listen to what they have to tell us, because there's information within us if we're willing to slow down enough in order to listen, and if we're willing to open up that dialogue, whether it's with, a therapist, whether it's with, a friend, whether it's through stream of consciousness writing, journaling, but open up a dialogue to find out, all right, what is it that I need to know, you know and find out, maybe, where did this when did this part of ourselves develop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as we build a relationship with all of the aspects of ourselves, that I think is where we can experience a greater level of wholeness rather than uh, internal division.
Right.
I
Right.
think that's where more healing can take place at that point.
Yeah, I found it really interesting when I would sit with the emotion or that aspect, and I would ask, like, how long has this been with me? How long have you been, and really, and actually talking to, like, it's a person, like, how long have you been hanging
Absolutely.
out with me? Like, how long have we been, like, and what's
Right.
your role, right? Like, what are you doing for me? And how can I know that you're here? How can I know when you're showing up? And asking, like, what is it that it wants, because it's, I mean, it was fascinating, to understand. And that's where, this part around, what is it that you need, like, people, like, there's this conversation about, like, well, what do you need, like, what do you want, what do you need, right? And you're like, I don't know. It's like, um and it's because we're not sitting right in the shit, honestly, and actually talking to it, because it actually knows what it wants. But yeah, it's so interesting. And another thing of exploring, like, what's the earliest memory that it's tied to? And that is very, very informing, because what I found is that in exploring those memories, I begin to understand why certain experiences are unfolding, or why the challenge that's coming up is coming up right now, right? And because it's
Sure.
calling for a healing or resolution so often.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's calling for our attention.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
something going on, and there's some part of us that is, asking us to pay attention and to
yeah.
listen. And so often, I mean, I know that I'm guilty of this. It's like I could see the heaviness of the emotion just around the corner, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go in this other direction, and I'm going
Uh-huh.
to, you know, distract myself in any way possible because I don't want to look at it. I don't want to feel it,
Yes, yes.
But one of the things is, Reverend Shannon O'Hurley, one of my colleagues, she often says, we have to feel it to heal it. Just ignoring the emotions, just ignoring the emotions is not going to make them go away.
Oh.
It's just a matter of when are we going to invite them in? When are we going to invite them in for a conversation?
And we talked about that too. It's not about if we're going to do it, like if we're going to face our trauma, it's when we're going to do it, because the longer it takes for you to do it, it just is, it's like, I don't like, I mean, I'm wanting to rewrite the term Pandora's box as I've learned about that story, but it's like you're opening the floodgates are about to burst open if you compartmentalize and try to store it, in the shadows, right? And it's like it was never meant, what I'm realizing, it was never meant to be in the darkness. It was never meant to be in the shadow. It was never meant to be seen as this darkness, but rather, integrated, because it was meant to be light. It was meant to inform, for more power, more purpose, more vibrancy.
Totally. Well, that's the thing though. For me, I am a master compartmentalizer.
Oh yeah.
I have learned how to compartmentalize, to the T.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but it's in the emotions sometimes, there have been times over the past couple of years where I've been afraid that if I looked at it, if I touched that wire, I wouldn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know where, is there an end in sight? Because there were times where it felt like I would drown in it if I opened that box.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's those moments where we need to reach out for support, because we're not on this journey alone.
Yeah.
And if we have even a friend, even just to sit with us, they don't have to say anything, just to sit with us as we process these emotions, that could be huge. That could be literally life-saving.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? The sitting with someone in their pain. I'm really starting to understand that until we do the work for ourselves, it's really hard for us to show up for other people, which is why it's also really important. That's why it's so important to do this work, because, we're all carrying something that, you just can't see the wounds that people are carrying, and it's really hard to show up for people even when we want to, when we're carrying around wounds that we haven't resolved within ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and there was, a good portion of my life where I believed that being vulnerable was actually a weakness. And so therefore it would prevent me from reaching out for support. It's like, oh, I don't want to bother that person. Oh, I don't want to, and what I've learned and, my growing edge over the last number of years, and my realization is like, oh my God, to be vulnerable, it takes so much courage and so much strength.
So much. So much.
And, for those of us who love supporting other people, when we're willing to also reach out for support when we need it, it gives other people the opportunity to support us in return.
Right. Yeah, I learned, I had this awareness in, and I'm sure for those of you out there who are like highly sensitive, empathic people, right? There's that level of, like, what you're saying is showing up for everyone, and and being independent, and I can take care of it, and I'll help, and I'll, right? And I'm like, it's a trauma response. It is a trauma response. And then this weekend, so I'm in this leadership training, this year-long leadership program that's just, it's blowing my mind. My mentor, Taylor, she's amazing, but she read this beautiful piece, and if I can get it from her, I will share it here on my Facebook page because I think it's such a profound message. But she talks about the ways of which when we are being this like hyper vigilant, independent, you know, nature, it's a trauma response. It's the ways of which we've had to armor ourselves up, the ways we've had to protect ourselves, right? Because it wasn't safe. It was not safe to ask for help. It wasn't safe to even say you needed help, right? Because there's not a problem. Because if you bring up a problem, that there's a problem, right? It had some real serious consequences. And so you just had to like carry on, right? And just be with what is. And so I recognize so much how the space of opening has been recognizing the ways of which I armor up, right? Like, what are the trauma responses? And I love how you listed some of those off, like perfectionism, right? The know-it-all, you know, the I got it, I'm good, right?
Overachiever, yeah.
Overachiever. Absolutely. What else?
Oh my gosh.
Please stop. Like, so like humility. Oh no, you know, just no, stop, you know, no. It's all armoring up, right? You know, it's like all the ways that we armor up because we don't want to sit in the fact that we're uncomfortable or meet the moment of something that needs to be expressed or communicated. Eve, let's see, you said, I do find that it brings up more awareness of my own pain and needed healing when I show up for another person's pain, however. Yeah. Sometimes showing up with another person can help us explore our own pain, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And oftentimes, the people who are attracted to us, oftentimes have similar stuff.
Yes.
Have similar experiences. And so they become a mirror for us. And so we can support them where they are, but at the same time, we might want to be making, you know, a mental note for, you know, ourselves to come back later to our own, you know, advice or homework or, you know, insights.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier to support somebody else and see, you know, what some possible next steps are for them before we see it for ourselves.
Yes.
But I think I know that piece that you're talking about as far as the trauma response. I read something last fall talking about ultra independence as a trauma response.
Yes.
And basically, it's based in lack of being able to trust other people.
Yes.
Because we're constantly let down. And then it goes back to safety.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, never mind, I will do it myself because then I know that I'm safe.
Yeah.
You know, and I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. That compassion piece is huge.